Yes.
Judge Partner. This House affirms the resolution that it would legalize medically assisted suicide. Let us start off by saying it is already legal here in America, and there are already requirements for it to be carried out. And that would be, in order to receive a medically assisted suicide, one would need to be diagnosed with a terminal illness that would kill them in 6 months or less. And this would be done by an attending and consulting physician. When we are saying that, when we take this into consideration, it is just common sense that nobody is walking right into a hospital and saying, hey, I want to go kill myself, can you let me kill myself? That is not something that is going to happen. And more often than not, it is a last resort for many people. People obviously want to live. As a matter of fact, when people are told that they have a terminal illness, according to psychology today, they are either met with shock, disbelief, horror, stoic acceptance, or met with this feeling of helplessness. But most of all, a lot of people feel as though they have to fight for their life or enjoy their life while they still can. It's only when they feel as though their terminal illness is affecting their quality of life that they truly begin to feel as though there is no other choice for them but for them to kill themselves. Besides the physical pain and torment that a terminal illness causes, people also take their family and friends into consideration. They don't want to be a burden to maybe their spouse, their parents, their children. They don't want to cause emotional distress to their friends either. And as a matter of fact, I'm going to bring up an example from the Netherlands in which this is also legal, and her name is Lauren Hubert. I'm not sure if that's how you pronounce her last name, but forgive me, I am an American. So she suffered from ME, which is also known as chronic fatigue. One of many symptoms that it would be an irregular heartbeat. And another, obviously, within the name, chronic fatigue, is that they are left bedridden and in pain, and they can't even live their life to the fullest. They are miserable and suffering with it. On top of this, she was also diagnosed with PMS, which stands for post-exertional malaise. And this was causing her such pain that she couldn't get up and leave her room. She was taking her family and friends into consideration, and she wanted to be euthanized because not only was this causing her family and friends to suffer, it was causing her to suffer as well. Nobody should be forced to live a life where they are consistently suffering. And if they were not to kill themselves, maybe with the help of a physician, people can be driven to suicide in much more brutal ways, such as shooting themselves, hanging themselves, or trying to overdose. Medically assisted suicide at least allows for a dignified way of death. When Lauren was euthanized, her family and friends were there. Physicians were there to help her to at least die a peaceful death in her sleep. When this also occurred, she was blogging about her illness. She was showing people her day-to-day life having to live with these kinds of conditions. When living in these conditions, people began to empathize with her. There was an understanding as to why nobody would want to live like that. Not everyone has the privilege of being able-bodied. It's an unfortunate truth that sometimes people don't want to live like that, and they shouldn't be forced to live like that.
She was like, why are you not in class? I was like,
So let us move to our policy. As it's already legal here in the US, this is how we would at least bring an appeal for this law to be proposed to other countries, or to be proposed to other countries. Much like ours, we would enforce for physicians that are both consulting and attending to be able to provide a valid diagnosis about whether or not this patient is in any position to need a medically assisted suicide. Lauren Houlet, as I mentioned, also was neurodivergent. However, she was consulted for a while now, and that was to check if she was psychologically sound enough to make this decision. And with this precaution, it was determined that yes, she was in fact able to make this decision. So because of this, it's not as though people are going into this blind or not understanding the risks. I will take your question. I'm sorry.
No, you're okay. Is it like general physicians that are allowed to like give these prescriptions, or is it like a specific physician that you have to go to present your case, and then eventually they give you that diagnosis? Is it any physician?
No, it's not any physician, it would have to be specific, like you said. They would have to watch your case, give you valid diagnosis. It is a very long, it's not a necessarily long process, but it is a standard process of checking in for it.
So are you as the federal government, you're hiring people to do this? I just wanted to clarify what your policy is.
No, we're not hiring people to do this because here it's already happening. Consulting and attending physicians are making these kinds of diagnoses, but we are instead proposing a legalization of this to other countries and showing how it functions within this country and countries like the Netherlands where it's also legal. Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
All right. So we would propose this as well. Medically assisted suicide is allowing for people to expedite dignified deaths, and it is being treated with major precautions, such as checking if the patient is mentally sound, if they are dying a peaceful and sound death. And for these reasons, we would like to urge a vote in the affirmation.